Well, welcome to Junk Connoisseurs. You're here with Jordan and Alex. Alan is absent, but we're going to go ahead and start without him because, well, it's Alan.
Yeah.
We got to give him a hard time about something.
Oh, yeah. He provides plenty of opportunities.
We need to push back. We have to do it while he's not in the room because otherwise he'll give us a wedgie.
Was this the fourth grade?
I'm gonna. Oh, be cool, everybody. We totally weren't just talking about you.
Also, the man
Alan
just
enters
showed
the
up.
room.
The man just showed up in his full button-up shirt.
I took my tie off
tucked
on the
in?
way here.
Oh, no tie.
Yeah, no,
so
I
fancy.
Did you bring me?
God. No, it is. It's in my truck.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
That's all right. We'll talk about you again.
Yep.
Prepare to talk about Alan.
Talking about Ellen.
Hey, taking my notes, though.
Wait, I won't look.
Yeah.
We don't have any real motivation to know what it is before it comes up.
That takes a lot of the fun out of it.
I'm gonna do some old man rants.
Ooh. Those will probably go over really well with our audience.
If you're gonna drive a Mustang up a twisty road on a 70-degree Monday evening, it's a hardtop Mustang, not a convertible.
I feel like that is a very important detail.
It is.
Thank you. Yeah.
I saw this person coming up before I turned left onto the state highway in front of them and thought, they may be wanting to go as fast as I am. Probably not, but I don't know. And then it's brutal waiting for him to show up and think, oh. And I followed him up, Rowdy, at 47 miles an hour indicated, which is probably about 44 in the Malibu.
Yeah.
I've chosen poorly.
You did. You did choose poorly.
I can't get too upset. That's just the way, that's the luck of the draw. What I was upset about today, and I managed to laugh it off, was, you know how four-way stops work, right?
I mean, generally, yes, I understand the concept.
And the most important part of the four-way stop would be the stop.
The four-way.
The part where you stop at some point. So I come up to a four-way stop today, and I'm like, well, I've clearly stopped, and this other guy's rolling towards me, and I mean, he's not even close to a technical stop. Like, it was just rolling vaguely slowly, never slowed down more. And so I started going, thinking, well, he's going to stop. Because that's what you do at a four-way stop. I know better. I knew what was going to happen. And then the person just continues to go and gives me a dirty look on the way by. I'm like, okay, but I stopped. I was the first one to stop. So I have the right of way here.
You are correct. You do have the right of way.
I'm doing old man rants while we.
You want to go outside? There's some nice clouds to yell at.
I am an enthusiast of nice clouds. I don't yell at them often.
We have on one of my group chats. We have a friend who regularly goes on old man rants, and we've actually got a custom emoji that's just the newspaper of the old man yells at cloud that we like. Okay, Johnny, click. You know.
I'm trying to do less and less of that. So I was just filling up time, and there's a couple things today that irritated me.
There we go. Okay.
You good?
I think we're good. How we sounding?
Look like. Well, it sounds like three of us. I don't know. You talking? Oh no, it's you. That's why I was like, that channel's dead. But it's because
No, it's just me over here being quiet.
Jordan's being quiet.
I gotta really get up on the microphone. Yeah,
Jordan.
yeah.
Jordan, the introvert podcast host, podcast personality.
He's doing asthma, and the rest of us are just doing a regular podcast. And he's over here talking like this.
Oh really?
I'm just gonna open this beer real quiet.
Joke's on you. Everybody prefers this.
It's true. I feel like there's an asthma podcast, car podcast. Like,
do people pronounce it asthma?
I do.
I always just say ASMR.
I always, yeah.
I think it's actually supposed to be pronounced ASMR.
Okay.
I just don't.
Where do you all fall on the word Prindle?
I know
say
what you're
Prindle.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I think it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
So I use it ironically. But remember, it's an automatic transmission thing, so I don't really know what it means.
I prefer Prindutal,
You know?
where you get like D2L, you know.
Yeah.
Put it in H. Which is funny that he says that because there really is an H on a lot of shifters. Hi.
Is there is there an H on
I've
a
seen it on a few
lot
things.
of shifters?
But see,
Okay.
A
in
small selection of very old shifters.
in Cyrillic,
okay.
in the
I'll
Russian
give you
in
that.
the Russian alphabet, what looks like an H to us is actually N sound. So presumably it would be neutral.
Troll? Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. That's how as somebody who speaks just a little bit of Russian and can sort of read the alphabet. It's been like 20 years since I had that in college.
Oh.
So
Yeah, in general, I'm not a big fan of pronouncing acronyms as words, but there's some that you just can't escape. And I think Prindle's probably become, in the parlance of our times, part of the vernacular. We're checking out beers now. This is the ADHD podcast. What are we drinking tonight?
I have a Quirk Raspberry Rocket Pop because it's got 3 carbs.
it's a seltzer, not a
Yeah,
beer.
it's not a beer.
Okay,
we're
it's called a Rocket Pop, and what flavor? Because it has 3 carbs. Oh, you're drinking it because it has 3 carbs.
Yeah.
It's not called a Rocket Pop
it-
because it has 3
Yeah,
carbs.
it's from Boulevard, I think.
it's
Yeah,
Boulevard,
Boulevard.
yeah.
Bacon in
Kansas
it?
City.
So if you
No,
drink it,
no bacon.
does it like striate out to where it's like cherry, lime, blue? It's a waste.
I don't
Get on it, Boulevard.
I don't think that's a thing
think
that
it's possible.
physics and
Yeah.
chemistry will allow.
I mean, there's the B52 shot, but those are like 3 very, very different liqueurs that are
Yes.
that
poured
separate
layered.
out.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go
I'll
asthma
that
for
one.
just a second, everybody. I want you to listen closely for the sound of the. Oh, there it is.
Whatever bear hug giant can thing. Juicy.
It's another. I got sick of the Juice Force, so this is the other option from Goose Island.
I remember Goose Island was a beer that I appreciated back in the days when I was a beer drinker who did drink beer. Mm-hmm. That's more of a...
This is a juicy IPA, so it basically tastes like
Oh, okay. It's a beer.
orange juice beer. Yeah.
Okay.
Like hoppy orange
I
juice
could
kind
get
of.
behind that.
It's not bad. It's the other one I drink, the Juice Force, is the same basic
Okay.
flavor. It's just a different.
When you call it
different brewer.
Juice Force, it sounds like Capri Sun for big dudes. Like
I mean, yeah, that's exactly
big,
what it is.
big kids is what I'm saying. If we're
Yeah,
kids, so.
kids at least 21 years old. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, it is like Capri. It's
Yeah.
not a beer. It's a juice.
No, it's a beer, but it has a lot of juice flavor.
So it's still Capri Sun, but
No
it's-
actual
it
juice,
has
but
beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. Speaking of over 21 years old, I got sad the other day when I walked. They have the digital readout. Must be this old to purchase beer. And I looked at him like, that was after I turned 21. Oh no. So been drinking legally more than half my life now. Still
Legally.
getting old. Yeah.
Who waits? We don't need to get into that
No.
discussion.
I mean, I didn't drink hardly at all until I was of age.
Yeah.
I was a loser.
Drank a lot more after I turned 21 for sure.
I mean, it makes it easier.
It does, and and then I went to law school. At which point it is like not
Mandatory
just
alcoholism.
it's functional alcoholism for 3 years. Like, yeah, we're drinking to cope. Like, sack up, let's do this.
You got a final tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Medicate. Stat.
I'm unmedicated. Anywho,
Yeah.
Medication.
So what are we here for again?
I don't know.
Something
Mostly,
about-
I'm just here for free association and beer.
Full dumbass.
You brought your own beer, so like just the free association. I
Yeah,
guess.
all you've got is quirk.
I
like
actually
seltzer
have a variety of things.
that you can't drink.
Correct. I cannot drink them. Yeah.
So are you doing a low carb
Yeah.
something?
It's working, so
Cool.
I'm sticking to it.
I probably should think about that. Every time I do, I get the shakes.
I did it earlier this month.
You get the carb shakes.
Yeah.
I get that.
I actually did it earlier this month, and in 7 days, I lost a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what I would eat my cheese with if I went on a low
More
carb
cheese.
diet.
More cheese. You eat a ton of meat and cheese.
Yeah,
is what it is.
that's the trick is you
Yeah.
switch whatever you eat with cheese to like beef jerky and sausage, hamburgers.
Instead of making a sandwich with bread, use salami.
So I'm really just cutting out 1/3 of the food that I already eat
Yeah, if a third of the food you eat is carbs, you're already ahead of the game.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the other direction. I was like 60%.
Yeah.
Oh well, it might be more like that.
Yeah. How much is how many carbs percentage wise is there in a pizza? It's like 85%. That's probably about
Sadly
right.
true, yeah.
Anyway,
Have you made fathead pizza yet?
yeah, it's delicious.
Oh my god, it's like you ever make a pizza crust out of mozzarella cheese and an egg?
Oh,
Because
no.
you should. It's
Okay.
amazing.
There's a little bit of almond flour in
Yeah.
there too, but it's real solid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's not all down. It's not all downside, and you're just eating all this like rich garbage food, and you're like, how am I gonna lose weight? And you do. Like I lost 40
None
pounds.
of it's from the aortic area.
It's mostly you just shit yourself thin, at least for the first week.
Is that what binding us up is the bread?
I guess there's your fiber intake goes way down, so it's like, well, I will eat this and I'll leave in 5 minutes, pretty much.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I lost 40 pounds on it about 5 years ago when I was like almost spherical and then got down to like just pleasantly plump. Now I'm almost spherical again, and I have not been able to stick to it again this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. My doctor is very direct. She's from Germany.
Oh.
And I went in for a checkup.
Which side of Germany?
There's only one German. Where have you been? There's only been one Germany
doesn't
for like
even
the last
remember
3
two
decades,
Germanys.
man.
He's too young to remember there were 2 Germanys.
There's a
He
West
said
Germany
which
now? God. Which side of... I don't know which side of Germany she's from, but I went in and she looked at the scale and she looked at me and she's like, that's too much. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, go on keto again. It worked last time. And I'm like, isn't it unhealthy for me to like yo-yo diet? And she looked at me like, it's unhealthy for you to weigh this much. Go back on it.
She doesn't want you to yo-yo diet,
No.
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, she'd prefer I keep it off,
Yeah.
but I need to lose it
Keep the
before we
lifestyle.
worry about that.
Right, yeah.
Do the yo, but then
Yeah.
stop before you get back to the other yo.
Yeah.
Yo. I'm on the yo diet.
So cars. That reason we're here.
Carbs minus B.
I don't know. I can't say the keto diet without really wanting a taquito from the roller grill.
I'm glad Quick Trip is across town.
I know.
For a lot of
Or
reasons.
the break time near you, because they've got a pretty solid roller grill as well.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I got beef with break time, I guess. I don't know. Boy, if there's a Quick Trip available, I'll drive across town to go to that instead of
Quick
any
Trip is
other.
amazing.
I don't know why. I do know why. It's mostly nostalgia, but
There's always like a minimum level of cleanliness, and the food is not like it's not gross. Like I've never been in a Quick Trip and I've just been like, this place is a biohazard, I'm leaving. It's always at least like, this is acceptable for a gas station. I'm not afraid to get a like sealed soda and be like, I don't know if that will be from this decade, you know?
and then there's Casey's who like is branding exactly the opposite. They're like, we don't care if you poop on the floor, somebody will clean it up, but not this shift.
That's
I mean, that's old Casey's. If you manage to find yourself a Casey's that's been built in the last 10 years,
yeah.
those are usually
They're actually
QT
trying
level.
now.
Whereas the Casey's in my hometown is exactly what you just
Where you have
described.
to ask to use the bathroom is just a one-holer that's shared by the employees and the manager and
Well, you
everybody.
have to walk past the
Yeah.
counter.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's
you
always
just
somebody
door.
smoking in there. It doesn't matter. Could be a customer, could be the manager, could just be a hobo, but there's always somebody smoking in the bathroom. Yeah, we're getting Buc-ee's now. They built one in Springfield.
Oh, wow.
So imagine 5 Quick Trips like linked up like a Quick Trip Voltron, and then imagine it was from Texas and real proud to be from Texas, and that's Buc-ee's, where you can apparently like buy. I don't know. It's like Quick Trip has people who are like, oh, I'll stop at Quick Trip if it's an option. Buc-ee's is like, we will travel to another state just to go to Buc-ee's.
We're going on a road trip this weekend. Oh yeah, where are you going? Buc-ee's?
Yeah,
but what's
it's
the destination?
wild, dude.
I said Buc-ee's.
They've got like 97 gas pumps. It's
I bet it was
it's
over
got its own
100.
exit on
Who needs
44.
that much gas?
No, the one we went to.
America needs that much gas, you pinko.
No, We went to one in Alabama and one in Georgia, and I swear both of those were well over 100 gas pumps, like 120 plus.
It's like a small city. They have their own nuclear reactor out back. Like that's why it takes so long to build them. They have to get permits from the NRC just to put in a single reactor to run this gas station.
Please do not fact check this podcast.
I do wonder about if there is a literal gas refinery like 10 miles away that just has a pipe that goes straight there.
If you look out back, there's an oil derrick going 24/7. Like, we just make our own.
I mean, like 20 of them, because the quantity of fuel they go through is insane.
They have this weird cartoon beaver mascot, which I think his name is Bucky, right?
Yeah, probably.
I thought it was Busey.
You think it's Busey?
No, that's a different chain run by the guy who was the bad guy in Under Siege. I would not stop at any gas station owned by Gary Busey.
So
Maybe I would. I don't know. I would not take my family to any gas station owned by Gary Busey, but if I'm having a good night, I'll roll those dice.
So, weird segue. My boss has twin girl daughters. Like, obviously, girl daughters. Twin girls. And they're like...
Are they female?
Maybe. They're like 7. So...
Which one's a girl?
Anyway. One of them...
The boss, Alex, clearly.
Has... She manages to look like Gary Busey so often. Like...
How?
It's all face...
Does she have one of those, like,
mannerisms?
crazy smiles? It's like, oh, you're going to bite me.
Yeah, or possibly a house is going to burn down or something, you know. But no.
But they're
If you were
twins.
to
Does
say-
the other twin look like
No.
Gary Busey? No.
No.
Strangely enough, Chuck Norris.
They look exactly the same, but the mannerisms of the one are extremely Busey.
Were
So
they
you can refer-
raised by like scientists who were like, all right,
No, definitely not.
okay.
They're very distinct people, but my God, yeah, Busey. I've seen it myself. It's crazy.
Keep
Give
her
her-
away from battleships.
Give her a whistle and put her in a red. What was that? I'm thinking Gumball Rally. Gary
Oh,
Busey
yeah.
was the co-pilot.
Minute, yeah.
He was the co-pilot.
that's probably
was
the-
it a Mopar or
No, it was a
He
Camaro.
It was a Camaro.
Yeah,
That's right. It
They put a
was.
big block in it.
And he was at peak Gary Busey. It was just foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what's going on in Gary Busey's life, but I hear enough to know that that was pretty much what he was bound to
Oh
be.
yeah, no that role was very much a predictor of his entire life, and that's a great movie, and I've watched it recently. It's fantastic. I
I've
love it.
actually never seen that.
Gumball Rally.
Yeah, I haven't.
Of the movies of that period of that style, Gumball Rally is my favorite.
Better or worse than Cannonball Run?
Better.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It,
Cannonball
Alex, you
Run
agree?
2 is actually the sequel to Gumball.
trash.
Right.
No, I don't know. Cannonball Run 2 is
There's some mix up in
Yeah.
those movies where the one
And then there
Yeah,
was
no.
Death Race 3000, which was supposed to be a
Two.
comedy. There were
2000. Death Race 2000. Get it right.
I will not sit here and be corrected by the likes of you, Jordan Wheeler.
Corrected
Let's go to the
To
Wikipedia.
the correction,
I think there might be both.
it had
to the library.
It had Sylvester Stallone in it. It had the guy from Kung Fu. I never remember his name.
It's Rocky, man.
What?
And you're thinking of Bruce Carradine.
Yeah.
David Carradine.
David Carradine.
David Carradine.
No, that is also an excellent movie. I love Death Race 2000. But Cannonball Run is the best movie of that style from that time period, strictly because it both doesn't take itself too seriously, but is still a serious, like,
I think
realistic
you misspoke.
movie.
You said Cannonball Run.
I did. I meant Gumball Rally. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cannonball Run, on the other
knew what
hand,
you
is
meant.
a silly, like, slapstick style film.
So they've made like 4 more death races.
Yes,
in the last-
1975.
That
is
was the first one, and then
Yes.
in the last 15 years.
There's something
Yeah.
about
Death
None
Race
of them are
2000.
Death Race 3000. You're correct.
Yes.
I cede the high ground. Just this once. Enjoy it.
Smokey and the Bandit 3.
See, I wouldn't
now I'm
necessarily put Smokey and the Bandit in the same category because it's both of the time period, but it isn't necessarily about a race.
It's mostly about Jerry Reed.
That's fair.
It's about Jerry Reed.
I do love me some Jerry Reed.
Snowman?
What's she wearing now?
I got I think I've told you guys this before, but at the $5 bin at Walmart once, I got all 7 Smokey and the Bandit movies on one DVD.
I'm sorry, what, 7?
Yes. They made 4 made-for-TV Smokey and the Bandit movies in the late 90s and early aughts, starring Jason Priestley. One of them is called, and I am not kidding, Bandit, 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 period. You have to say the punctuation, because if you just say Bandit, Bandit, it sounds like you're like, I don't know, having a stroke. Which I understand you thought that, but just by the way I normally talk. But yeah.
How many included Burt Reynolds?
First 3.
Wow.
Only the first
2. Sorry, the third one was Hal Needham, but Burt was like, nah, I think I'm out, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't remember why Burt Reynolds wasn't in it, but they Jerry Reed was like, I get to be the bandit. I'm the bandit now. And then basically,
look at me, I am the bandit now. Why is Jerry Reed talking like a Somali pirate? Oh, this is horribly miscast.
And then there were boobs in 3. Like,
I mean, that's the only thing missing from the first 2.
True, that is true. They had Jackie Gleason. That's good enough for me.
It's a pretty solid boob.
Oh, that's not where I was going with that.
Bang, pow, straight to the moon.
That wasn't about space travel. It was a metaphor, a euphemism for domestic violence.
Spousal abuse.
Oh, God.
We can talk about cars.
Oh,
I
we
guess
might.
we kind of are.
Yeah.
We might.
This is
We
fun.
might. Well,
We'll
thanks
get to
for
it.
joining us tonight. We're going to talk about cars eventually here. We've got definitely one shout out that I think is owed, and that is we got a comment from a listener about the Chevrolet 267 small block
yeah.
Chevrolet engine, and it just tickled me that. And I think this was in our early episodes when we were giving a little background on who we were and stuff. I brought up the 267 that was in an old Buick Regal that I had as a circle track race car. It may have come up in other episodes, like with Vegas and Monzas and stuff, because I think they put them in Monzas and other stuff of that era. But he informed us that the 267, he was quite fond of it, and then proceeded to tell us what he had done with one, which is triple its power through turbocharging.
So, 97?
No, I bet it was a little more
Up to
than
like
that.
a Bill 90.
Yeah, he put he put the squeeze to it and made some real power with it, and then later probably replaced it with something more suited to what his application was, and said that 267 is still running around in his dad's El Camino. So, King 267, Malibu guy is his handle on the GRM board. That's fantastic.
Yep.
We'll be sure to talk a little bit more about some terrible, awesome engines in the future.
I will turbocharge a Malaise Era V8 in your honor. You've given me ideas.
But not really.
Yeah, F off. You don't know me.
So that was. Thanks for the comment on that. That's kind of fun to know that someone is actually listening and give us a hard time for besmirching such wonderful workhorse engines.
We have listeners sending in for sale ads for Iron Dukes. So, that's a thing. Yeah.
Nice.
People can sell Iron Dukes? I thought
No. This one is for sale. It has not sold.
Okay.
It was $150 with the transmission and still seems overpriced.
What transmission is attached to it? Is it
It's an S10.
Okay.
So it's a rear drive. Like,
I want an S10 with an Iron Duke engine in it.
but
You
the
have
rest
an
of
S10, you could put an Iron Duke engine. You got a couple.
But they're the ones that didn't come with Iron Duke engines, and that's not really my.
every S10 came with an Iron Duke.
Okay, true. Would you like me to tell
Is
you
it a
how
push
that's
rod
inaccurate?
GM 4-cylinder?
Yeah, you're right. I've got
Yeah.
a couple
Just
of
like
Iron
every
Dukes
Crown
already.
Vic came with that cop carburetor that gets 40 miles per gallon and lets it drive upside down.
Is that
Don't push the red button.
fuel
Hold
injection?
the red lever.
No, that's just like anybody. Is that the cop motor?
Oh, yeah.
It's the cop motor. Yeah.
Oh, my uncle had one
Yeah.
of those. Man, that thing was fast.
Except it was a Caprice. When I say Caprice,
Yeah,
I mean
305.
Cavalier. Yeah.
Alan, you're a busy guy, right?
Yeah.
And you have plenty of vices. Things that make it hard to focus on important stuff like nourishing yourself.
And how?
And you need to eat, right? Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Well, we're now sponsored by Food Enough, the meal kit company that caters to non-foodie types. It's pretty cool. They have simple, basic kits that you can combine and eat with minimal effort, and it's not pretentious. Have you noticed that other meal kit platforms are all fancy and highfalutin?
Dude, I looked up one of those other food kit companies' menu and saw a taco with lettuce for a shell. No, wait, I'm out.
Oh, I feel you, man. I bet you're really going to like Food Enough, though. I ordered up one of their meals the other day, and it was so easy. The app itself is easy. Simply grunt, "Food Enough," into your phone or robot speaker device, and the app opens and presents just a handful of their most popular options. I was hungry, and I tried it. I received a bag of tortilla chips and a jar of cheese dip. It really hit the spot. It was affordable, and I was able to eat it while standing over the sink. No dishes.
Oh, wow. I really need to try out Food Enough today.
You sure do. So just search Food Enough on the dork web and sign up today. Food Enough. Simple sustenance for folks who like things that are kind of like food. All right, Alan. So what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, I've got a vehicle picked out. It is, we'll start out with the usual stuff. It goes either 0 for 3 or 1 for 3 on the Alex trifecta.
Depending on just how it was ordered.
Depending on how it was ordered.
So
the vast
one
majority, or at least 1 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would call that 1 for 3 if it was available.
So it was a standard transmission, front wheel drive without a V8.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that's the one that makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is, as far as the Junk Connoisseurs Triangle of Sadness, 0 for 3. No Chrysler involvement, no Lotus involvement, which is a little surprising given where it was built and how long it was built for. But
I've got a guess.
there was never an Iron Duke involved.
It probably started production well before the Iron Duke was a thing.
It did.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I think
How-
we
You guys
both had
figured
the
this
pretty
out
good-
already.
How long
You looked
was
at my
it?
notes.
No, we did not. How long was it in production?
Slightly less than my age of 42.
Yeah.
41 years.
It is the original Mini Cooper, is it not?
It is the original Mini.
Sure.
But yes, it is the original BMC Mini.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm impressed.
Yep, that's where I was, too.
I was going with a bunch of stuff, but
Front wheel drive manual. Lotus wasn't involved, but it could have been.
could have been quite
Yeah.
easily. You would figure that, given the fact that Colin Chapman came up as a British hot rodder in the late 50s and early 60s, he probably would have been around these.
He
But
may have influenced it somehow, and nobody even
I
knew.
looked there. Well, if nobody wrote it down, if
Right.
he did,
I just meant by accident.
right.
Mere presence.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty cool. Reading the history on this, I mean, I've always thought they were neat, but you get into it, and the more you get into it, the more groundbreaking it was. Jordan and I will think it is awesome. Alex will think it is the reason cars suck now, because this was literally
The prototype.
for front wheel drive modern transport because it was so efficiently packaged. So let's see here. They built 5.8 million over 41 years in 12 different countries. The vast majority of these were a 2-door sedan. Not a hatchback. They're not a hatchback.
Okay.
But they also built a wagon, a van, a ute, a convertible, and the Moke, which was basically a mini Jeep.
Okay.
Kind of almost like a VW thing, right?
Sort of, kinda. Like, I would call it more Jeepish because it's just basically an engine and 4 seats and a place to sit.
Sure.
But it's front wheel drive. It was originally designed for the British Army in a light utility role. They bought an Austin Gypsy instead, but Mini was like, well, these are cheap to make, so let's see if people will buy them, and they did. Okay, so the Mini was originally designed in response to the 1956 Suez Crisis, which was where Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean, which is where, 2/3 of the oil that makes it to the West goes through that choke point. And the Suez Canal was originally owned, I think, by the French and the British jointly. And then the Egyptians under Nasser said, this goes through our homeland and we were not compensated, so it's ours now. And in response, Britain and France and Israel, too, invaded Egypt. Egypt responded by sinking 40 ships in the Suez Canal and saying, fine, if I can't have it, nobody can. And then the U.S., in something that would shock any modern study, of geopolitics, the U.S. absolutely said, well, Egypt's got a point. Sorry, allies, but you're on your own. And Britain and France and Israel were like, the So anywho, while all this was going on...
Were we in the middle of, like,
No.
Korea?
We were in the middle of nothing. 1956, the end of the Eisenhower administration.
Okay.
Eisenhower, a man not afraid to use military force if he needed to, but he looked at this, talked to the State Department, and was like, they kind of got a point.
And we've got interstates to build. Damn it.
Also true. So anyway, at the time we didn't have small cars. England definitely didn't have small cars, and England, after we don't realize in America how bad it was in Europe in general after World War II. Everybody was just knackered, worn out, no natural resources. Russia lost an entire generation of people. Like 26 million Russian men died. And as a result, like our grandfather's generation, there just aren't any because they all died. England stopped rationing gas, I think, in like 1954, like 9 years after the war ended. And 2 years before this.
Yes.
So they were just getting back on their feet, and they had to go back on gas rationing because this just completely destroyed the ability to get oil to the West without going all the way around the Cape of Good Hope, going all the way around Africa and back up the other side to get to Europe.
Which is not an easy journey, even if
it's not. It is.
It's a fraught journey, regardless
of
length.
It is. So this was a problem for the British motoring industry because what happened was regular cars immediately stopped selling, and the British motoring public immediately started buying German microcars. Because Germany also just didn't build big cars. They just built the BMW Isetta and the Messerschmitt and all these little overgrown motorcycle 350cc things, which would hold more than two people and would go 30 miles an hour, but they were absolutely miserable to drive. So Leonard Lord, who was the head of British Motor Company, which I guess you would consider it to be it was sort of like the GM of Britain at the time, but pre-British Leyland.
Are you sure it wasn't the AMC of Britain?
Yes, because this was multiple successful companies. Sorry, AMC.
Fair.
As opposed to multiple failing companies who are just like, I guess we'll join AMC and get another 5 years out of this thing. Any hoodles. Leonard Lord goes to his up-and-coming bright young engineer in 1957, a guy by the name of Alec Isagonis, and he says, Alec, we need a proper British small car. Here's what I want. I want something capable of driving motorway speeds, getting 30 miles per gallon, and I want it to fit in a 10-foot by 4-foot by 4-foot box. Alec goes, all right, boss, I'll see what I can do. Wow. Now, this was pretty groundbreaking. That's a tiny vehicle. It's bigger than a microcar. Oh, and it had to hold 4 adults and groceries.
That's an impressive goal plan set out, or what do you call that?
Design spec.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they swung for the fences, and the prototype was that size. Now, they had to expand it a little bit because a car that narrow it handles miserably because it's that narrow, essentially. So in about a year, they designed a front wheel. Well, the first thing they did was they took the existing 4-cylinder that BMC had called the A series, which they've been building for about 8 years, putting in all their small cars, the Morris Oxford, Riley's, Wolseley's, whatever, that displaced in the prototype 950cc, made about 38 to 40 horsepower, depending on who you're talking to. They turned it sideways because it had only been used in rear-wheel drive applications.
Of course.
They designed a 4-speed manual transmission that fit in the oil pan with a primary drive and a...
Wait.
Yes.
Record scratch insert here. Say that again?
They designed a 4-speed manual transmission that fit in the oil pan and shared the engine's oil. They used a primary drive, like a motorcycle, coming off the end of the crankshaft. Actually, no, it was crankshaft, clutch, primary drive down to a countershaft that ran through the transmission. And so functionally, this was tall, but it was the length of this very small engine and transmission unit combined.
Which is width
Which
in
is,
this
yeah,
application.
it's tiny.
Yeah.
They put this in the front of the engine of the body they designed, which looks, we would call it a hatchback today. It's a 2-box design. So it's not a hatchback because hatchbacks are a big hole and that causes stiffness. And this thing was built to be just sturdy enough. But they...
So it had like a small trunk opening.
there was a trunk opening, yeah.
But it was all metal enclosed, no movable glass.
Right,
Yeah,
the glass didn't flip up. There was a parcel shelf behind the back seats that was absolutely structural.
Yeah.
So, without realizing it, they had developed the blueprint for most of the next 60 years of car design.
Wow.
Because they had such a small footprint they wanted this car to take up, they made the power unit very small and very compact, which was also very cheap because it didn't need a separate transmission case. It didn't need a separate rear axle and differential. It was all combined in one unit using one lubricant, and it took up about 2 feet of space front to back. Interestingly, on most Minis, the radiator is in front of the front wheels, clocked 90 degrees from how we look at cars. So the radiator sits sideways onto the front. The airflow goes over the side of the radiator.
Okay.
The reason they did this was because they were so cheap, they kept the engine-driven fan, which was now pointing at the side of the car,
Yeah, okay. I remember seeing this before. Yeah.
flipped it around so it would push air through the radiator, and that way they didn't have to re-engineer that either. You know, they used the parts they had. They designed the body that would fit in it. The original one fit in that 10 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot box, and that is small. They got a prototype running in July of 57 using a 948cc A-series engine making 37 horsepower and giving a top speed of 90 miles an hour, which was
bad.
flat out balls to the wall hot rod for an economy car in the 50s.
Right.
Right. And this thing probably was very inexpensive.
We'll get there, but
Yeah.
yes, it was. They literally decided that was more than what was needed. So they backed down to an 850cc engine making 33 horsepower.
Of course. They're like, oh, whoa, that's really cool. Too cool, as it were.
Now,
That sounds very British.
the thing is that still gave a top speed of 75 miles an hour, which was 7 miles an hour faster than a 57 Beetle.
Okay.
The trans was in the sump. The suspension, instead of using shocks or springs, they used conical rubber isolators. Think of just a giant pyramid bump stop that gave a progressive effect. They were light.
Yeah.
They worked. The one thing they designed for it out of the box that was kind of a big design variation from pre-existing technology was that they went to Dunlop. They said, Dunlop, we want 10-inch tires. And Dunlop was like, well, we can probably do that. Why? And they said they want the smallest wheel arches, they want the least unsprung weight, and this is holding up a vehicle that, when finished, weighed about 1,600 pounds.
Wow.
Curb weight.
I'm assuming Dunlop is a British company. I've never looked into that.
Yes,
before. Yeah.
they are a British tire manufacturer, and Dunlop specifically developed tires for it.
Yeah.
Originally, it was a monocoque, just a single unibody, but they found that the early prototypes had this nasty habit of hitting a bump and breaking apart. So production cars used subframes, and that wound up being useful because they could then transplant this drive unit into a bunch of other stuff, or they could redesign the body and just plop the subframe up under it.
Right. That's probably one of those things that led to modern manufacturing,
Yeah.
where you were able to assemble the entire drive unit, front tires, suspension, everything on the ground, and then just throw the body on top of it and push it on.
It really helps with rapid assembly.
Right.
The seams where the monocoque was welded together were what they called everted, as in turned outward. They were C-shaped, and they would be welded together on the outside of the car, which made the interior space just a tiny bit bigger, and also made it super easy to weld them together from knockdown kits in overseas factories, because they would essentially align themselves when you press them together like a big Lego, and you just tack weld them along the seam.
Interesting.
It looked weird, but it eventually became part of the character of the Mini. The front windows were sliders, they didn't wind, which allowed single skin doors, which made for not the quietest car, but
Right.
definitely gave you a little more hip room and shoulder room. And they also made the doors into essentially cargo bins. Supposedly, they were originally sized, the door bins were sized to hold a bottle of vermouth and 2 bottles of Gordon's gin, because Isagonis was very British.
The third rule, after that whole 4x4x10 thing and 10-inch tires is... Or, right, 4x4x10, seat 4 adults comfortably,
Yeah.
and lots of martini making stuff.
There's a special pocket in the dashboard for a jar of olives.
There actually were a bunch of bins in the dash because there wasn't a lot of luggage room behind the
Yeah,
seats,
yeah.
and you couldn't fold the rear seats, so there wasn't a lot of luggage room. So there were bins everywhere. There were glove boxes, and the bins in the doors also had the bars that held things in, functioned to stiffen them a little bit, which is useful when the entire car is a crumple zone.
Yeah.
So the original Mini, as it hit production, was 10 feet and 1/4 inch long, 4 feet 8 inches wide, 4 foot 5 inches tall, and what did I say it weighed? Because I was wrong.
1,600 pounds?
1,279
Holy
pounds at the
moly.
curb.
We thought 1,600 was light.
It's like made of popsicle sticks and spun sugar.
So I looked it up. We compared this to what I would say the smallest like non-sports car that you guys can think of that was sold in America. I looked it up and compared it to a 91 Metro.
Okay.
The Mini is 6 inches narrower, 2 feet 3 inches shorter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and 230 pounds lighter. And that's a very small car.
Yeah.
But a Metro was
1,600. The Metro was 1,600 pounds.
okay.
Yeah. Compared to period competition, so say a 57 Volkswagen Beetle, 40 inches shorter. Think about a Bug. Think how small they are.
Yeah.
This is almost 4
40
feet
Wow.
Yeah.
shorter and 300 pounds lighter.
And not a whole lot less power.
It was faster than a
And
Beetle.
that's what I mean. Like, so you end up with something that makes similar power, gets probably better fuel economy, and is at 5 or 6 seconds faster to 60 at the very least.
The packaging was what really made it awesome. There was a flat floor because there was no transmission tunnel.
Nice.
There was no space under the back seat needed for a big axle to swing around. The packaging was the most impressive part of the design brief. How they put, they single-handedly created the Super Mini class, the city car class, and they said, okay, come get us, because it just was an amazingly well packaged vehicle. So, let's see here. What else we got? It went on sale in August of '59, and it was immediately popular, but not as popular as they'd hoped. For one thing, they went back off gas rationing, and big cars were fashionable everywhere then, and a big car in Britain is not a big American car, but it's still bigger than,
Right.
10 feet.
Right.
They originally sold it as under the Austin 7 and the Morris Mini Minor. So they're taking the Morris Minor, which was a famous British people's car, and the Austin 7, a famous British people's car, and they're, piggybacking on those names. It was sold in the U.S., in France, and across Europe, and over the 50s and early 60s, they started building it in several other places. They started building it in Venezuela, in Australia, New Zealand, eventually 12 different countries they would build it in. Wow. It was popular because it offered big car capability in a tiny package. You carry 4 people and groceries in relative comfort. You could keep up on the motorway, which is 55 miles an hour at the time, without any real difficulty. And it got 36 miles per gallon, which was great. And even after they stopped rationing petrol, the British tax it so much that it was, the thriftier it is, the better.
Yeah.
Seatbelts, heater, and radio were all optional.
A heater optional. That's interesting.
The original road test of the 850cc car gave 0 to 60 in 27 seconds and a top speed of 72 miles an hour. The price was £379 before tax. Tax in Britain added another £150.
Wow.
In today, that would be £11,051, or anybody want to take a guess?
16,000.
A little cheaper, $13,800.
Ah.
So the original design ran until 1967. They called it the Mark I. Some high notes from that. In 1960, they introduced the Countryman, or Traveler, which was a small 2-door wagon that was about 10 inches longer, but was still less than 11 feet long. A couple months later, it got an option to come still in the crate. So there was wood sides were an option. They also
just saying it was a wood.
It was a Woody, yeah.
A Woody.
They also made a van version, which was basically a sedan delivery. Very popular in Britain in the 60s as a light commercial vehicle. Mm-hmm. In 61, they introduced the pickup, which I didn't know they made, but essentially they just did a factory ute, cut it off behind the doors, and put about a 5-foot bed on it. It was the same wheelbase as the wagon, so like 11 feet long. In 64, they introduced the Moke, which was basically a mini Jeep with no top. They made about 50,000 of those.
I'm curious how that worked from a structural standpoint, since we have already established that every bit of the body of this thing was structural.
I think the Moke must have had some kind of frame because it didn't have a roof. So I think it was either a seriously beefed up monocoque or more likely it just had frame rails.
Basically.
Yeah, I didn't get into that, but that's a good point.
Yeah, just curious.
In 1960, Isagonis' buddy, John Cooper, started tuning the Mini. Result first available in 61. The original flavor Mini Cooper was a 997cc twin-carb A-series that boosted power from 34 horsepower to 55 horsepower. Gave it disc brakes, stiffer cones, originally built for homologation in rallying.
Sorry, hold on.
For cones.
Stiffer
Yes.
cones. They forgot it was supposed to be about the cones. That's a deep cut, sorry. It cut 11 seconds off the 0 to 60 time. Wow. Went from 27 seconds to 16 seconds. Quarter in
that's
about 19.
Respectable.
It's getting respectable.
Yeah.
In 1963, they released
For the 60s? For something that probably
For an
costs like
economy car.
600 pounds? Yeah.
In 63, they released the Cooper S with a 1,071cc engine. 0 to 60s down to 13, quarter in about 18 flat. And in 66, it got the 1,275cc A-Series, which is the factory big block. 76 horsepower, 79 pound-feet, which doesn't seem that impressive, but remember this thing still weighs 1,350 pounds. Yeah. 0 to 60 in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And more to be had with tuning. Mm-hmm. In 64, the whole range got hydrolastic suspension. Ooh. So they got rid of the cones.
Hydrolastic.
And they were cribbing over Citroen's shoulder here. These weren't spheres and they weren't pressurized to 1,000,000 psi, but they were a rubber, what called a displacer, which has a spring inside and filled with hydraulic fluid and check valves. It was interesting because they were linked front to back, which basically means when you'd hit a bump, the front would transfer some of that jounce to the back at the same time. And essentially it gave for a much less pitchy ride, which, you know, is kind of the bane of tiny cars that are stiffly sprung. Mm-hmm. They just beat you up like a buckboard. Yep. It did a good job of damping that out.
Interesting.
Downside is they got bad squat under acceleration and dive under braking. They were also expensive, so they came back. The cones came back in 1969 for everything but the Cooper S to get the cost back down, because a rubber cone is cheap and rubber displacers are not.
It's a rubber thing with springs and fluid. Yeah, that sounds...
But not pressurized.
Right.
So much simpler than Citroen. Mm-hmm. In 1965, the deluxe cars got wind-up windows. Ooh. And also in 1965, unfortunately, it's neat for packaging. They designed a 4-speed automatic that did not share engine oil for lubrication, but kind of fit in the same spot. You know, the early cars had a really big, deep oil pan. Mm-hmm. This just had a regular oil pan with a transmission sitting under it. It was not a high take rate. Old automatic transmissions are not particularly efficient, and when you've only got 33 horsepower to start with, you're gonna lose a lot of oomph.
Yeah.
Ford bought one in '63 because they were a sales success, and reverse engineered it and decided that any way they chalked it up, BMC had to be losing 30 pounds on every one they sold because they couldn't figure out how to do it better.
Right.
BMC always insisted that they made money on it, and by the end, they definitely were making money on it because they were building a 40-year-old design.
Right, they amortized out.
Yeah, it had amortized to the point.
All their design.
They always insisted that they would break even on a base car, almost like a loss leader, but that they would make 30, 40, 50 pounds on a deluxe car. You know, if somebody ordered the heater, they'd make money, or the seatbelts, they'd make money, and it would get people into a BMC car, and they'd want to stay with that. So they built 1.5 million up to 66. In 67, they introduced the Mark II. Changes were mostly cosmetic. 4 years, they built another 430,000. So, they're selling between 100 and 130,000 of these a year, which is a lot for England. 69, they introduced the Mark III, and they brought Mini in as its own brand. Wind-up windows became standard. Doors became bigger with concealed hinges. They also introduced the Clubman at that time, which was a bit of an attempt to kind of update it. It was a different front clip on a Mini that looked a little more contemporary. I like the way they look better than an original Mini, but it was only about 4 inches longer, didn't really weigh more. Most of those had the 1275, and they were a warm hatch. Single carb 1275, making 60 horsepower. They killed the Cooper S off, and it would not come back until 1990. They weren't as fast, but they were cheaper to buy and run. They had a tack. They were running radial tires, disc brakes by this point. 0 to 60 in 13 seconds, top speed of 90. So we're still very sprightly for a very small car.
An economy car.
Mm-hmm. In 1976, they introduced the Mark IV. Again, just incremental improvements. But now we're in the British Leyland era because BMC has been forced to be kind of the lead horse in the lead dog in British Leyland. And now they think they can design something better. So they took a Mark IV, and they basically took the running gear out from under it, took both subframes out, stretched the wheelbase by about 8 inches, and gave it an updated kind of blah 70s hatchback looking body and called it the Metro. It outsold the Mini about 3 to 1 at the time.
Wow.
What do you guys think happened at the end of the Metro's life?
It got killed.
And what were they still selling?
The Mini.
Now, the Metro was
sounds
not
like-
a failure, though. The thing is the Metro was not a failure.
Right.
They sold several 100,000 of them. They made it for, I think, 10 or 11 years worth of production, and people liked them for the most part. But they did not have quite the staying power of the Mini.
So the Mini stuck around afterwards, kind of as was this a throwback kind of sentimentality,
By the
nostalgia?
mid 80s, it was kind of a nostalgic choice or a contrarian choice. I think it was the cheapest car you could get if you ordered just the basic 850 with no options.
Yeah.
But I think it was also at that point kind of a style point to make that, yes, I drive a Mini. I'm British.
Are we going to gloss over the 6R4 Metro?
This isn't about the Metro.
We were just talking about it, though.
Yeah, we talked about it. It was really cool.
Okay.
But yeah, they never built a 6R4 Mini, unfortunately, because that would have been badass too.
Yeah.
So by 1990, the Mini was now the only A-series vehicle powered left. It was fuel injected by that point.
Because the engine dated to the 50s.
To the 50s. And
Or
at that
maybe
point,
even the 40s.
1950.
Yeah.
At that point, a pushrod cast iron 4-cylinder was decidedly old tech. But again, it was amortized out to where they cost about $8 to make.
It's like the Chevette.
Yeah.
By this point, they're not importing them to America, which they hadn't done since the 70s because crash standards.
You
But
could still get them in Japan, though. At that
Japan loved them.
Yes.
They were big in Japan. They were big in England, and they still sold a few in in New Zealand and Australia. In 1990, the Cooper comes back, which is basically just, I think it was a multi-port injected 1275, making about 70 horsepower. They were never just a ball of fire, but they were fun, and they were very much, you felt connected. It was, first gen Miata levels of right now it does what you tell it to.
Right.
Finally killed it off in 2000 after 41 years and 5.8 million built. At factories in the United Kingdom, Portugal, Italy, Venezuela, South Africa, Spain, New Zealand, Belgium, Yugoslavia, Malaysia, Australia, and Chile.
And one that no longer exists.
So, why did they kill it off? Why do you ask? Well, corporate ownership. British Motor Corporation was independent until 1967. In 1968, it became part of British Leyland, which it stayed part of British Leyland. British Leyland spun it off as part of Austin Rover in 1982. And then in 1989, it became part of Rover Group, which was sold to British Aerospace. Yeah, because this is very much an airplane. In 95, BAE sold Rover Group, Lock, Stock, and Barrel to BMW. And and BMW decided we cannot have this old technology anymore. We will design a new one that looks like the old one, and we will sell millions of them. And they did, and it was a thing.
Yeah. And you're talking about this was what, 99, 2000?
2000 was the end of the line for the original Mini.
The original.
And I think
okay, and that's when the
2004 or 5 was when
the new one
maybe
started.
I think it was 02 or 03. I think they went on sale in England before here.
Yeah.
I think it was 02 or 03. There was a small gap, but yeah. So yeah, the packaging to me is the neatest thing about Mini. That they made a usable vehicle out of something that is, the size of a refrigerator box almost.
Right.
You literally could lay a 4x8 sheet of plywood on top of it and cover 95% of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as motorsport goes,
everywhere all the time.
Yeah. They made so many of them and they were so cheap, especially after they were done. This is the equivalent of the Chevette here in the 80s. It was just something that, they were used up, but junkyards everywhere.
Oh, okay. I guess I see your point, but like comparing a Mini to a Chevette this
is a much better car.
Hateful.
Well,
it's not rear wheel drive.
The comparison that comes to my mind is the
Beetle.
Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah, more like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, and the Beetle's iconic. You can't have a conversation without thinking of it. And I don't really think about the Mini that much, but it was a big deal.
It was a big deal in England.
Yeah.
This was their
as
Beetle.
popular here.
They
right?
weren't. And I mean, part of it is, again,
Where can you
city
drive
cars.
it? Yeah.
And city cars over here just don't work most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And, America, especially during its heyday in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, we wanted yachts. So it was popular in motorsport, won the British Touring, it was the British Saloon Car Championship at the time, now what we call British Touring Car. Won it outright in 61, 62, 69, 78, and 79. Won the British Rally Championship in 62, 63, and 70. Probably most memorably, 3 wins in the Monte Carlo Rally.
Wow.
Outright, 64, 65, and 67. They initially went 1, 2, 3 in 1966 as well, but the scrutineers, who were French, protested them because they used aftermarket headlights that sort of were variable dimmers. Over here we have dim or bright, and over there they had more some sort of a rheostat that you could adjust the lights. So the 1, 2, 3 minis that finished, the 4th place Ford Cortina, also English, all were DQ'd, and the car that won, who was it? What was it?
Citroen?
Was that or a Peugeot?
The fix was, no, it was a Citroen
Yeah,
DS, which also had the rheostat headlights, but they were a factory option. And they interviewed the Citroen driver, and he said, I did not deserve to win. Like, even the guy who won was like, the fix was in.
Yeah.
But yeah. And now in the aughts and teens, they had one make vintage racing over there. Yeah. Very similar to Spec Miata over here.
Right.
So there were a lot of spec class minis that ran. I think they still do. They're not common anymore. The last one was built 24 years ago, and the heyday was 40 years ago. But there's still enough of them over there. They're still around.
As long as they haven't rusted away.
Right, and they did rust. Oh
Yeah,
my
a
God,
lot,
did they
yeah.
rust? That was what killed them.
Yeah.
And that's what kills them now. So what do they cost here? A base Mini, if you could find a base Mini from the early 60s, is about $10K in fair shape, about $14 in good. A Cooper from the early 70s, about $14 in fair shape, $18 to $20 in good shape. I think those prices are probably a little high. I've seen a lot of them, but they have kind of the same problem with people who import Land Rovers over here, and a lot of them get rebodied and VIN swapped. For a while, that was a problem with Land Rovers, especially as people would buy a VIN plate out of a junkyard and swap it onto a car that wasn't eligible for import yet, and then bring it over here. But seeing as how the youngest minis are now 24 years old, they're almost all eligible for import anyway.
Yeah.
Ditto the Defenders, I think. I'm not sure when they stopped making those, but
Well, they started making them again, but yes, I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think it was early 2000s.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
So you've seen a few of these for sale around here? can't remember seeing
Not
one
around
in the
here.
U.S.
I have seen them for sale before, and I've seen them actually for sale in the flesh before. And the first thing that hits you every time, and I know I'm beating a dead horse here, is Jesus, that thing is small. They make a Miata look like a Kenworth. They make a new Mini look like a freaking Pace Aero motorhome. They're just tiny, and it would bug me to drive one on American roads. Like around town, I'd be fine with it, but yeah, on the highway, they're little bitty.
Simpsons gag with the guy in his small car.
I purchased the largest car I could afford. Am I there to be made the object of fun? Yeah,
Nailed it.
more or less.
Yeah, they're just almost unusably small because
For modern usage.
yes, but like imagine driving down a 2-lane highway, so 55, 60 miles an hour is the speed limit, hitting a pothole with a 10-inch tall rim with a probably like a 17 or an 18-inch tall tire.
Yeah, the early ones probably were about that big.
Yeah, like
Now they got bigger as speeds got higher. They eventually had a 12-inch.
even so,
But even still, that's
the
so much
outer
smaller.
diameter is
Yeah.
probably under 20, and a Miata's 22 inches
About.
tire height. So like that's bad. It's gonna be awful.
You're gonna break a
Especially
lot
when-
of belts.
and you destroy said cone.
The cones were pretty durable, from what I
Oh,
understand.
so then I'm destroying my back. Okay, I
I
gotcha.
mean, they were actually the suspension system was well thought out and actually worked pretty well.
Sure.
They're pyramid shaped, so they act progressive because as you mash down into more of them, there's more cone to push back. So it functions like a progressive rate coil spring.
That's cool.
Now it's not quite as smooth as gas shock absorbers in terms
Right.
of damping, but it
I
worked.
I bet it's as smooth as those $8 blue shocks that we all used to have available at O'Reilly's.
Conros,
I don't know what they were, but they were
KGBs.
all... No, KGB is a reasonable shock.
Those are KYBs, but yes.
Okay.
KGB is the Russian spy agency.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what blue
I
shocks
know what you
I'm
mean.
talking about,
yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I was one of the cool kids. I had the $19 air shocks.
Oh.
Air is excellent at damping, especially when it's jacked up to like 80 psi, so you get the tail in the air.
Got to get that rake. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you guys see that the North Carolina State Senate has introduced a bill to ban the Carolina squat?
Oh, I thought it already happened.
I think it's been passed up to the governor for signature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I meant like 2 years ago.
Now this is recent. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, good, because that's one of the more dangerous automotive trends that has occurred in the last
I'm sorry.
20 years.
It's been illegal for 2 years to have a Carolina squat. Now they take your kids away.
Oh. That's possibly a motivator for some of the squatters out there.
I'm sick of feeding these bastards.
Kids, get
Lift
in the
kit.
truck. We're going for a ride.
Daddy, why do we keep driving back and forth in front of Child Protective Services? I said, shut up.
Wave your hands, boy.
Hubert, Sasha, Dylan.
Anyway, that was a bit of a sidetrack. You were talking about cheap shocks.
Well,
I think I was done with that.
Okay.
The cone, this rubber cone design, it acts kind of as a spring and a damper. I assume just the friction of these two cones
And a bump
together.
stop. Like they've gotten rid of all
right.
of
Yeah,
the,
I mean,
the parts.
very efficient design, if not the peak for performance.
Right.
If this car wasn't designed for peak performance, it was designed to get 4 people around in the smallest package possible in a time when they really needed cheap people movers, right?
You say peak performance. I suppose we need to specify what performance metric.
Okay.
Because as our beloved Colin Chapman says, suspension works great if you don't let it do anything. And I
Right.
feel like a rubber pyramid's pretty much the epitome of, you have travel, but you get none of it.
Yeah.
Like,
It actually it functioned better than you think.
yeah.
But I guess
Because I'm just picturing a giant bump stop, and You go from not on the bump stop to being on the bump stop, and that's it. That's your transition period.
But it's not like hard rubber like a bump
Yeah.
stop. Like it compresses, and that's the whole idea.
yeah.
Yeah, but I wonder. I guess it would have to be a wear item, wouldn't it? I mean, you'd have to get a new set of cones occasionally.
Well, if you start,
Yuri, put new cones in.
if you start a Google search for mini cone, you get mini cone ice cream, mini cone papers, mini cone Trader Joe's, mini cone snacks.
You got to shut Safe Search off, Alex.
Yeah, those are all dangerous results.
That's a risky click.
I don't. Where would mini cones go, Alan? Where?
Am I the only one with a filthy mind here?
I'm just curious. What are you thinking? Nothing.
No, this is a family podcast.
Is it?
No.
Family podcast with a smattering of F-bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just kind of seeing if I could see what they look like and how they worked. And so for those that are not in the studio audience with us.
This is the part where we Google
we
things.
just,
Okay. Yeah, it looks
it like-
looks like a
I
cone.
don't know. You've probably already seen it.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was just kind of curious. So, but you were talking about how, again, with the peak performance, what does performance mean? Well, I'm saying, and there was a lot of motorsports with these. But
Yeah.
They back to what you were saying, hitting a pothole at highway speeds. I imagine our highway speeds today are quite a bit different
Yeah.
than when these were designed and what they were designed
Well,
for.
that's why I specifically mentioned 2-lane highway to where you're doing 55, 60 miles an hour, which would be totally within the realm of believability of what these were designed to do. And they're probably better than I'm giving them credit for, but
I don't know. They were a tiny car designed for that in mind. I don't know what the equivalent is today. There is not one in the U.S. I mean, the Smart Car tried to do something kind of similar
Wow.
a little while back, and there's the Honda Beat and stuff that are not for this market. Little city cars.
yeah. Like this is very much a precursor to what the Japanese did with the K vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, those mostly went a more traditional route as far as suspension development, using gas shock absorbers, blah, blah, blah. But I suppose when you have that little mass of a vehicle, all of these problems are much smaller just
Right.
because physics occurs. And when you only have to move yourself plus 1,300 pounds and change down the road, you can kind of just skip over that stuff. You don't jam into it like you do with a Tahoe or something.
Right.
One of my favorite memories of minis, though, because I don't know if I've ever seen one in person, frankly, maybe at a car show or something, but is watching, I think it was Goodwood, had historic car racing, and they were doing a period class, not a make specific class. So you had minis out there with Mustangs, and the Mustang would freight train down the straightaway, and then you'd get to some corners, and the mini would just run away. And it was so much fun to watch because it was actually, maybe it wasn't even a Mustang. It was a Thunderbird. So I
think I might remember
Yeah, it was like
seeing
a
it
61, 62 Thunderbird racing against a Mini. And it's just very much the experience of what I imagine the early 60s and people who were interested in cars of all types were like, do I want to turn or do I want to drive really fast in a straight line?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. A thought occurred to me while we're talking about this. You said you got to get 1,300 pounds in yourself around. Put 3 more adults in this car, and the handling characteristics will change significantly. Alan says no.
That was the cones because they would load up
They would.
progressively, and they said that it would actually. I mean, it would ride better and handle about the same with a full load of people.
Okay.
Because
That
that
is
was part
interesting.
of the reason they designed them to be progressive, like they were. Like it was not designed to where it was not. It was sitting on the cones at all times, and they would load as.
Yeah.
And you would get a progressive effect out of it, but they worked really
The
well.
suspension would work well, but still, when you're coming up to a corner and you're ready to turn and you're used to having just you in the
for
car
sure.
and you've got 400 to 600 extra pounds in the car, it's going to
It's
handle
different.
a little
It's
differently
different.
just by Newton's
Yeah.
law.
I'm sure, though, that most of the time you went from having yourself to having yourself plus like 2 small children and a spouse.
I agree.
We're excited to have partnered in a cross-promotional agreement with the Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga Sewing Circle, Book Review, and Timing Association. We're really excited. It's a great organization. Please look them up and be sure to support the AACASSN.
Well, I think we've discussed a lot of the ins and outs. Let's talk about whether or not we would own one.
So you say that you can get a reasonably decent one for like 10 grand.
That seems to be the buy-in point for something that is not an absolute heap.
That's shockingly compelling. Like, this is totally my jam.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to that low of power and that low of weight, I don't particularly think that the negatives of front-wheel drive particularly apply.
Fair.
Because it's still going to be an absolute hoot to drive.
Yeah.
Like this. So one of my favorite cars, I've talked about this before, is a manual transmission Mazda 2. And it's 2,300 pounds or whatever, 100 horsepower. It was really it's a modern version of this where it was targeting a very specific low weight people transporter, simple. And that car was so much fun to drive, and you never got into a place where you'd be in trouble.
Yeah,
it was impossible to do anything terribly dangerous.
Same with a Miata. You can beat it. You can flog the dog snot out of it.
Yeah.
And you may be exceeding the speed limit, but you feel like a Formula One driver, and you're doing 80. As opposed to fast cars where if you're like, if I want to exercise this, I need to actually go to a track.
Well, and a lot of the reviews of the 2 when it first came out was, hey, this is just a front-wheel drive
hatch.
Miata. Yeah. And that's appealing to me. So stuff like this or a lot of the Italian offerings at the time are really cool. And I've thought about this kind of thing. And not that I have 10 grand to put into something like this, but it is also, it doesn't conflict with anything I already own.
It's true.
Which is something I've come to realize is important. So a small, lightweight, front-wheel drive, run around with the kids kind of thing sounds really is very interesting. And as always, grain of salt, but you know, this one is appealing.
You know, it has appeal to me in a way. As much as I'm a cheerleader of how cool this car is, when I look at what I would want that would fill that gap in the lineup, so to speak, I think I would be a lot more likely to take that 10K and buy some sort of neat K car. Like, not a Chrysler K car, like a Japanese K car, which is going to fill that same, like, oh, it's tiny, but it's practical, and it's fuel, you know.
That's a very compelling argument because I can get a manual transmission turbo supercharged whatever Suzuki Alto.
You can get an Alto works for 10 grand buys you the nicest one.
Yeah, and it's got fuel injection and air conditioning. Yeah,
it's always going to start. It's fun to beat on. It's all-wheel drive, and it's a similar size and practicality level. And the one thing that kind of stops me from this, and I don't want to be that guy, is my gosh, if you get into an accident at speed, if you get hit by anything at speed, they're going to identify you from dental records.
Oh yeah,
they're just tiny. You know,
that's true.
The lug nut rule prevails. You know, it's like all other things being equal, the car with the most lug nuts wins any accident.
That's a new one to me, but I like it.
I haven't heard that before, but that does make sense. Now to think of cars that have inappropriate number of lug nuts.
The Renault 5 only has 3 on each wheel. And I can't think of anything else I'd less like to be in an accident in than a Renault 5. I want one, but oh God.
So like a Mazda B2000 pickup truck has 6 lug nuts. And that's like 2,600 pounds.
Okay,
so
you're
that's an
poking holes in my
inappropriate
theory.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, inappropriate given its size.
There's always going to be exceptions, of course.
If there was something that was a Hummer that had 4 lug nuts, for example, would be hilarious. I want large discrepancies in either direction. It's really all I want.
That's an assignment for listeners and us.
Yeah.
Find inappropriately lug-nutted cars and trucks.
Yeah. If you can find me an economy car with 8 lug wheels, you win the internet for that day. Whatever.
What about the 7-lug F-150s that just make me irrationally angry because nobody else did it and they did it for like 2 years?
Yeah,
and it's like, no, you had 6, you had 8. Why did you need 7? It does not make sense. Pick a lane.
Yeah, 97 and 98.
Yeah.
I think it was
like the
F-150.
It was like the F-175. Yeah, it was like it's not quite an F-250, but it's a little stouter than an F-150.
But yeah, it was in between the times of the square body F-250s.
Yeah.
And the F-250 that came out in '99. They did that weird. We don't.
The gross vehicle weight rating was like 4 pounds heavier than the.
It's a heavy half. It's a heavy half. Yeah, the heavy half. Then you got the heavy half. Then you got the chonky half, and then you got Lord, half coming.
It was 8 more lug nuts total. Thank you, because the original one's only had 5.
You're right.
So
that's true. This ain't Chevy or Nissan we're talking about.
Yeah.
I had 3 lug nuts on one side of my
No.
my K1500 once.
Factory.
Boy, that thing shook like a paint mixer when I got it home. I'm like, what is going on? But we'd been at the back 40 and we've been wheeling, and I was tired, and I'm like, I just want to get home.
Yeah.
So I went out to look at it the next day. Took the hubcap off of the wheel, and 3 lug nuts fell out with little chunks of stud. And I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
It was real close to
Jesus.
disaster.
Yeah.
Well,
real close.
I was driving my dad's Mustang in high school, and the wheel started shaking, and I was like, what's happening? And then literally the wheel popped off. All the lug nuts had stripped.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And of course, then the car lands on the ground and destroyed the front fender.
3 wheels is not enough.
No, 3 wheels is not enough for a
For
Mustang.
most cars.
I was driving my dad's truck once. I was probably 28, 29 at the time. I was not young, but and it started to shake, and he just put tires on it, and one of the wheels had definitely come loose to the point that there were 2 lug nuts were gone, and the other 3 were working on it. And we went in and had a conversation with the manager of that tire shop. There were some. There was some salty language. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen my father this mad.
Yeah.
Ron White that did the bit about
Guess
he didn't show up to tire
Lug
school
nut
on
day.
Lug Nut Day. Back to
Would you buy it?
oh, you guys remembered to ask me, even though it's a front wheel drive.
We shouldn't.
Well, I'm going to back up just a little bit. You were mentioning, it's something that you'd be interested in, and then you mentioned a saxophone car, an alto. And how many of those did they make compared to the minis? I'm guessing you can keep a mini going like you can a Ford 8N tractor. I bet they make parts for minis.
They do if you're willing to wait for them.
Right.
They got to come here from England. But yeah, they still reproduce parts, and even over here, A-Series engines are fairly common because they were in every MG Midget and Austin Healey Sprite.
Yeah. When they make 5 million or something over
Yeah.
that long a year, it's like we always jokingly say, you can build a Volkswagen Beetle out of a J.C. Whitney catalog if you wanted to.
Now,
I assume that the Mini was similar in England.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the Alto, just in its defense, they made a lot of them. They were super popular. They rust-proofed them, which BMC never thought was a good idea with the Mini. And the running gear in K cars didn't change all that much.
Well, like 6 brands used
Yeah.
the F-Series
Yeah.
engine, so
it got to the point where everybody
they
built
made a
their own K car, and they all went to Suzuki and he's like, "Hey, we want to buy engines and transmissions from you."
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so that's not a good argument that I brought up necessarily.
well, it's one of those things when the government says you can't make more than 63 horsepower, there's not a whole lot of motivation to develop your own engine unless you're Subaru. So everybody else was
famous
just
for doing weird things.
yeah, indeed. So yeah, everybody just went and bought either Suzuki was primary, but I think Mitsubishi had one power plant, and then Subaru did their own thing. And there were several companies, and they just shared those 2 Mitsubishi and Suzuki engines in various turbocharged, whatever. Keeping them on the road isn't super hard. However, I do see your point, and particularly if you're in Europe, I agree completely that you will probably be able to keep a Mini together for the eternity.
It was more of a question than a point. It was like, well, would it be easier to keep one of them going? But
Yeah. Either way, you're waiting for parts, but the parts are there.
right.
You just have to, just pick your poison. Do you
Pick your
order from
continent.
Japan
Yeah.
or do you order from England?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, now, I'm going to be contrarian and tell you guys I'll buy the next one you send to me on Facebook. This podcast not to be used as evidence. No, they're neat, and there's very little risk that I'll ever end up with one because I've never seen one in person in North America. That's a bold statement. I probably have and wasn't really aware of what it was because it was sitting next to something that kind of caught my eye more. I didn't realize they were front wheel drive until well after I knew that they existed. I just assumed that they were an old rear-wheel drive vehicle until I learned more about them. I remember seeing one or two of them when I was in Japan. And you mentioned
the Japanese like them. The Japanese love small cars, and
Yep.
they also they're very much a style conscious culture.
Yeah, and they are really cool cars and iconic. Obviously, their backstory, there's a lot of history there, and they're neat. I like them, but I'm not going to have an opportunity to own one, and if I did, there's probably something else I would rather have.
You heard him, listeners.
You say that as though I won't cut that part out.
The more I think about it, though, the more I remember that I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to fit in one. Like a K car is at least generally designed for a somewhat normal sized Like it's designed for an average Japanese person, which is not that dissimilar to.
Well, was there
Anyway,
a lot of information saying that tall people couldn't fit in these things?
I've seen people get in them before. It's
hard.
rough,
It's
particularly in the leg area.
It will hold for adults. The people in the back will not be happy.
Right.
The people in the front, I think somebody of our height, and for listeners who've never met us, we are all 6'1", essentially, in average proportions for an American guy. Well, Alex and Jordan are skinnier than the average American guy. I am an average American guy. But it is something you'd fit. The issue would be it's 4 feet 5 inches tall and sits about 8 inches off the ground, and getting in and out of it is going to be the problem.
I counter that leg room is probably more difficult than you are considering. Like getting in and out is definitely going to be a problem, and hip to head height is probably sufficient. But the way I've seen pedal boxes designed for vehicles of that era, especially small ones, is terrible. Like when I was at the Lane Motor Museum, I looked at this stuff, and there's nothing under the dash but 3 pedals and a steering column that you have to wrap your feet around.
Yeah.
But what else is taking up the space, Jordan?
It's a tiny car. There's literally no space.
What is intruding into the passenger compartment?
Well, it's not even intruding.
There's no tunnel.
No. It's the distance from the seat to the firewall is just very short.
I would be willing to bet it's better than you think and maybe worse than I think.
Okay,
I mean,
that's fair. We're probably both wrong.
But the packaging here is everything is forward of the firewall that makes this car go.
Yeah.
Which is every time I've ever driven anything with a cramped footwell, and I've driven plenty of stuff where it's like I don't want to drive this. This sucks with an automatic. I wouldn't want to jam a clutch pedal and have to figure out where my other foot's going to go when I'm not shifting. But it's always been rear-wheel drive stuff or poorly packaged front-wheel drive stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be curious. Listeners, we'd like to drive your classic Mini. If you have one, invite us over.
Yeah, bring it.
Or
drive
bring
it
it
to
to
Or
us.
come to Columbia. We'll put you up.
Yeah. We'll take you out for a nice.
We're the
steak
middle
dinner.
of everywhere. Like literally, we are pretty much centrally located. You might be a ways away.
Yeah. So if you are in the Northwest, please drive 26 hours to Missouri, and we will feed you a steak dinner in order to drive your Mini.
When I went to college in Rolla, Missouri for a semester, Rolla's civic motto, the town motto, was "We're the middle of everywhere." What they neglect to mention is that, it's the middle of everywhere, but it's 2 hours to anywhere. It is centrally located from every place you want to be, but it is not anywhere near any place you want to be.
Well, thanks for listening on with us as we learned about the Mini. The what Mini? So we learned about the
It is. If the Wikipedia article is just Mini.
Mini.
It was the Mini, just the Mini for a while. It was its own brand. It was a mononym, like Prince or
Madonna.
Lincoln.
Speaking of cones.
Well, thanks for listening, and please reach out. Let us know what you've got going on automotive-wise in your life, projects, events, otherwise. You can email us at junkconisr@gmail.com or find us on Facebook. Junk Connoisseurs is our podcast page. Send us a message there. Now, Alan and I know what we need to goad Jordan on in the future when we find good deals on projects nobody needs. It just has to be something that Jordan doesn't already have something that fills that role in his life, and he has to buy it. You heard it here. He said it.
I mean, that's fair. That's how I'm evaluating projects when I spend my 2 hours a day on Facebook Marketplace.
I got a joke for you guys. A Mini, an Avanti, and anything rear-wheel drive V8 GM powered walk into a bar.
Wait. The Avanti could be exactly that.
Yeah, except Alex won't buy an Avanti.
True. Is that...
That was the joke.
That's
Yeah.
the whole joke?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the rabbi says to the minister, stay fresh cheese bags.
What
funny.
the just happened?
I was just doing
Yeah.
that bit, except except to alarm you guys because I don't normally talk quite like that.
Mission accomplished. Oh, wow.
So, a rabbi, a priest, and 12 Boy Scouts.